Well, it's another peaceful day here at my home base. And what I've got reinforced on my time on the road is being out in the public is just frustrating. But it is adventure, it is excitement, it is good to not just be in your house. The balance is the key, okay? And when you're traveling for extended period of time, more than 2 or 3 weeks, there's a level of burnout. And I think that that's a big issue long term. Short term is not an issue, but you have to remember to plan somewhat long term because time passes. And if you do no long term passing, no long term planning, you're just going to get burnt out. You're just going to not be in a good situation financially, emotionally, and that's just not a good recipe to live life. So the home base, the acquisition of a property that fits your needs. It can be an RV lot. It can be a mobile home with the land that you own. If you are going to get into ownership, I recommend you do own the land, even if you pay an HOA fee. It's just better long-term planning. But you're going to get signs after a period of time on the road. Like when I was very young in my 20s, you get signs. Things start to happen at the club. Things start to happen more as you go out. And you get to this crossroads where you realize you're not meant to be here anymore. You're not meant to be in this club. You're not meant to be hanging around this group of people. You're not meant to be here anymore. And it doesn't have to be bad. It doesn't have to be a big dramatic thing, but it is a thing. Okay, and you have to adapt, meaning that you have to be willing to change your way of doing things. And people struggle with that. That's one of the biggest struggles you'll see people faced with in life. Many people can't. They hold on to the past. So for me, it's like, I remember Barry Sanders retiring. He was a football player. He almost retired too early, right? And you figured he had more left in the tank, but then you see many other football players, Brett Favre, you could even say Jordan at the end with the Wizards. You see players go too long on the road, too long in the career. So there's no one answer to life, okay? But things end, okay, and for the good sometimes because you gave it all you have. And for me, it was that similar mindset, okay, in adapting and changing because I was just burnt out dealing with the public more. Even after acquiring a home base and refining it, still spending a lot of time in the public, I was like, man, what am I doing here? I got to adapt. I got to spend more time at the home base. I don't have to. You still have the option when you have the home base to travel at will. Um, but you realize after you've traveled for a period of time, what do you really want to see out there? For me, not much. I've seen what I needed to see, what I wanted to see. It was great. Okay, but for me now, I crossed the threshold where it was more aggravation dealing with the public, more burnout, more frustration with traffic than it was experiencing new things, learning new environments, meeting new people, right? And that threshold, everyone will come to that pass. So I think previous generations, maybe because there was no internet. Remember, I'm kind of middle aged, so when I was coming up, we didn't have smartphones. When I was getting close to graduating high school, we just had started getting beepers. So I've seen kind of life without the smartphone, without heavy technology, and life with heavy technology. And so the older generation, people in their 60s, 70s, 80s, they didn't have the internet for a big portion of their life, and their dream was to get to retirement and travel more. And then I think the newer generation is seeing that, especially now with a lot more mobility in society, with the internet being able to work and transfer to almost anywhere you want to be in the world, if you're willing to separate from family. Many people aren't, in familiar environment, many people aren't. But I think people have seen, the younger generations have seen through the transmission of information on the internet, is that you don't want to wait till you're too old to travel, because traveling is physically and mentally demanding and financially. And you kind of want to try to get that out of your system. I would say middle age is a good age to travel. I think, when you're young, you got to build your career, you got to build yourself, and you got to learn to live on your own a little bit. And that's all these things, guys, take years, decades, and there's failure, there's ups and downs, and you need to be close to your support system. Your immediate family if you have it, your immediate friends you grew up with if you have good, because when you're very young, you're very developmental, and you can go either way. But then you also have to learn, like I was saying, you get to certain environments where you say, oh, this is a sign I need to get out of here. This is a sign I need to stop hanging out here. I need to stop. And then some of the people you're with may not want to do that. So the separating of friends at different points in your life, the separating of groups, maybe a high school group, then maybe a college group, then maybe middle age group, then maybe friends, in-laws, ex-neighbors, then maybe internet community, then maybe no internet community, right? Separation after you have, maybe you get burnt out, or maybe it's not reciprocal anymore. Maybe it's just the season just ended, seasons end. Okay. So I'm sharing all that to say I wanted to reinforce some key things, as I reflect on the enjoyment of my home base. Is you need some sanctuary after a period of time to get out of the public, because it just drives you crazy. And it's just not a good long-term financial plan. And, this freedom, there's a level to it that's real. There's a level to it that's a complete fraud. If you don't have your health and if you don't have your finances, the freedom is not freedom. It's delusion. Okay? And people who don't have their health or their finances together, the nomadic life and traveling really bites them in the can, because they're going to get forced off the road and they're not going to have an exit strategy. But that's just a statement. Everyone should do what they want, just for focus on myself. But these are all things for myself that I reflect on through my experience and through what I told myself to push myself. You have to push yourself into a new season, or else you'll be forced into a new season. And when you're forced into something, you have less choices, right? Because the time now is over. The shot clock ended, okay? And the referee took the ball from you, okay? But when you see the clock starting to tick down, you're getting signs. This happens in the gas station. This happens, traveling. This happens on the road. Then you say, okay, wait a minute. Let me shoot my shot at the home base. Let me transition to a different mindset. And that's healthy growth. Because the burnout on the public, the burnout on the road, after a certain amount of traveling, it's just done. And you're going to spend a lot of resources, a lot of time, energy, and money doing that. And don't shoot all your load there, because you're going to have to spend a certain amount of time, energy, and resources to research, find, and get up enough will to buy the home base. Okay, there's a delicate balance act there, in and out of the system, in and out of a property. It's delicate, but it can be done. It's not too hard either. So. But these are some general thoughts. These are the reasons, okay? The reasons why you get enough of traveling. You get enough of the public. The reasons is just too many issues start to happen. You lose your patience because you are putting yourself in more and more volatile situations. Every time you leave stability, your home base is stability. And there is something to the ownership, because when you're just renting a lot or a campground, which I've done, you're thinking about when that month is over, when that campsite is, the next 2 days you got to check out. You're never really resting, okay? And you don't feel long-term assured, okay? And that burns you out, okay? So that's what you got to remember, okay? Yeah, it's good for a season, but not for long-term. So you could figure it out. Everyone has a different way to figure out life. It may not be my way, right? But these are just some things I wanted to share with you in this video of the burnout of the road, the more reasons and more thoughts about the whole process of transitioning after a certain amount of years of selling property, hitting the road. Have a focus, for me, the focus was always Florida. It was always buying below my means. It was always developing side hustles and enjoying a season of life with low to no, I would say low responsibility. You always have responsibility. And I would always say keep a job, pick up a side job. because that's your freedom. I mean, it's certainly not a RV. It's certainly not even a home base per se, because you need the income. Okay, but at least the home base, you have some stability, and you branch out from there. Pick a place you like, and if you pick the wrong place, I've made mistakes. Sell or get out of it and do what you got to do. Transition again, adapt again. It's very painful, but you can do it. It's better than staying in a place where you're not happy. I mean, because that's the other thing. I mean, many people are, even if they're in a good home base, they're living with people, they're living in an environment, they justify that they like coming back to it. But I don't want to judge them, but it's just what's your plan? What's your dream? Is your dream when you get to retirement to live where you want? That's backwards. Live where you want, okay, and figure out how you can either get a transfer from your job, or work remote with your job, or whatever, get some type of job where you want to live, okay? Because where you want to live is most of your retirement. And once you figure out where you want to live, what do you want to do with your day? You just got more time off. So either way, with that being said, let me go for another walk outside in the Florida sun. Love South Florida, and I appreciate all the positive people. I hope my videos help you in some way. Click the thumbs up, share it, subscribe, and eat healthy if you can. But I love you no matter what you do. But I don't want to live with you. It's true.